We just have two more sections, and this one is also rather brief. I just wanted to introduce you before we get to the end to some lichen resources, so you can continue lichenizing or continue lichenology beyond this workshop. So for those of us in North America, and again, for those of us in California, these are two really fabulous resources. Lichens of North America, both this book and the updated key, are resources that I continue to go to all the time. Now, this is not an inexpensive book and is also a hefty tome. I'm actually using it to prop up my laptop right now for this presentation. So it's quite an investment. And so it's something to invest in if you're really serious about getting into lichens, but it is a tremendous resource. But also do check and see if your local library or even herbarium or botanic garden library has a copy of this, because that's certainly an option as well. A slightly more lightweight and portable guide is this, The Field Guide to California Lichens by Stephen Chernoff. It is divided into those categories of foliose, fruticose, and crustose. It does not have a key, so all you have to do is figure out if you're looking at a foliose, fruticose, or crustose, go to that section, look at the pictures until you find a good match and description. And it's a great intro guide to lichens, again, of California. I think I have a couple slides of useful links. Again, this will ultimately be posted on YouTube, so you can definitely come back to these, and we can probably share these in a doc as well. I didn't put that together in advance, but we can do that afterwards. So you may have noticed that the vast majority of lichen pictures I've been using in this presentation are from the Ways of Enlightenment. It's a really great resource for images of lichens, again, particularly of the Western US and Pacific Northwest, including Canada, but also of a lot of different lichens. And it's got some great information about lichens too, and just sort of essays introducing you to lichens and lichen biology. Again, to look at lichen species images and descriptions, and then also range maps, is the Consortium of North American Lichen Herbaria. That's a mouthful, but luckily the web address is much simpler. It's lichenportal.org. This is a fantastic resource, especially if you've already gotten to a species name, but you want to verify, is this even found in my area? Or I want an additional description of this. This is a really great resource. And what this represents is digitized herbarium specimen data. And so it's a really incredible resource, and actually one that we are continuing to build and contribute to. So it will just keep getting more and more robust in terms of those range maps and species verification. Also, as I've mentioned, and even members of the workshop have mentioned, the California Lichen Society is a fantastic group of people, and also they have some really great resources. And also, if you're in California, they have field trips. Yay! So if you want to get out into the field and learn about lichens with a really friendly group of people, definitely check out the California Lichen Society. There are multiple lichen societies. If you're on the other side of the pond, the British Lichen Society is another fantastic group of people, super welcoming to people of all interest and skill levels. They also have a ton of field trips, but also their website is full of resources. It's just, if you're not in England, just keep in mind that all the species they're discussing are British, but there's quite a bit of overlap, and it's a really great resource. I am also a very active member of the American Bryological and Lichenological Society. So that's getting involved at the national level, but we have annual meetings that you're welcome to join, and those meetings include field trips. And there's also, I will say, a lot of support for student research. So we have some small grants for student research and things like that. And we don't currently, but we're looking to expand to offer grants to, say, amateur biologists as well. So that's another great resource, and the website has quite a few links to resources. We're working on updating those. Some of them are actually out of date, but that's another way to get to know a lot about lichens and get connected with other lichen resources across the US and North America. iNaturalist was mentioned also by the group and also by myself. Again, I'm still in the process of setting up the lichen bleaching project. It exists on iNaturalist, but there's some filtering that I need to add to it. So it's not just everyone's lichen observations get posted there, but just the lichen bleaching. But there are a ton of lichen projects already on there. You know, lichens of California, lichens of North America. There's projects about specific groups of lichens, like the genus Sora, Psora, which is actually a crust often found on the soil or on rocks in desert ecosystems, but other ecosystems as well. And just in general, if you join iNaturalist and post observations of lichens, the more that happens, the more data we'll have for things like setting these baselines. So it's not just a great resource for you, you become a great resource for us. And so that is so, so great. That might be all of my resources to share. There are tons of other ones. There's, again, most of those sites like abls.org will link you to many more, say, specific lab websites that have a lot of resources on there. I totally neglected to mention the, there's just too many. There's too many to mention, but there's a lot of great resources out there. And but most of these, the California Lichen Society, the British Lichen Society, and abls.org will link you to most of those, including some keys and things like that if you want to get started keying things out.